Thank you all for coming to the TBM Tuesday. Our speaker today is Kyle Latimer. He's the research manager and data scientist at TBM Council. So Kyle specializes in turning data and research into actionable insights for technology leaders. Through his work at the TBM Council, he helps identify the trends and priorities shaping the future of TBM. Today, he'll be sharing a preview of the upcoming State of TBM 2026 research, highlighting key findings, emerging trends, and et cetera, and what to watch out for the plan for the future. Please join me in welcoming Kyle.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are doing well today. As Talia said, I'm the owner of this face in front of you right now. Like she said, my name is Kyle Latimer. I run the research for the TBM Council. Our primary thing that we do, or one of our primary things, is the State of TBM survey, which goes out every year. It's live as of this week. Praise the Lord, we got it. We keep getting it out earlier and earlier. Thank you all for being here to talk with me a little bit about it. What I'm going to do today, really quickly, is run through something. So why we do this kind of research, why we try to do it, and what we try to get back, how we try to make it useful to our community, and some things that we're trying to answer in this year's survey. So hopefully to get you all very excited and very interested in taking the survey. We also have some incentives that I want to talk to you about as well. So I'm going to talk through a few slides, and if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'll check them as I go, and Talia can also help me keep on track, keep on top of those as well. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Right, there we go. All right. You guys should be able to see my screen. Talia, let me know if you can see that or if you can't. Hopefully you can.
Looks great on my end.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. All right. So let's talk about some things that we already know from our State of TBM survey. As you know, this has gone out most every year. In the murky depths of years past, this survey was done via like a contracted research firm. We brought it in-house because we want to do it with our actual community rather than just random folks from the world. We want to do this with you all because you're the actual practitioners and leaders in this field. And so the last 2 years we've done that, we've taken that approach, and it's gotten us some really interesting findings. I'm highlighting kind of the two of basically the big, I would call them novel findings of the last two surveys. And while there's a bunch of things in this survey that you could uncharitably call them vanity metrics of just like how many people are using it, what types of, how much business improvement do you see, all these kind of things that are nice and fun to put on a big fancy placard. We also want to get deeper than that with this research, since we are asking you for a decent amount of your time. We want to give some things back to the community and help use your insights to help outline a roadmap for how to do TBM effectively. So these are two things we found from the last 2 years of the survey. The first is that we were able to identify, looking at the top performers, or people that self-reported they were doing the best, had the most impact, had the most positive responses across the board. What are the things that they were doing better or doing that other people maybe at the bottom end of that were not doing? And you can see these 4 things here that folks were able to, that kind of differentiate success or indicate success at the top end. Some of the stuff might seem pretty basic or kind of like table stakes, but all that stuff is really hard to do in the corporate America, where everyone's riding a very big ship trying to turn it a little bit. Everyone's kind of trying to turn the Titanic 2 degrees here. The other thing that we found in 2024's study is that TBM can really help by bringing everyone together and forcing this conversation. TBM can really help, in the best cases, start what we like to call an upward data cycle, where your data starts really crappy and you have to find it everywhere. But by bringing some of the TBM processes to bear, you can start to both develop more universal data access and get better data quality. And that tends to create an upward cycle of increased access, increased source of truth, increased quality in your data that is really the foundation for what you want to do with TBM. We also were able to outline, talk to some top practitioners to have some helpful tactics on how to do this. I can share those out with you as well, but we've got those reports on our website, and you can see more in depth there at tbmcouncil.org. At the research section, there's all those goodies are there for you to peruse, especially if you're a community member as well. So this is just an example of kind of what we see here, some of the insights we're able to get from last year's survey. You may have already seen this if you looked at last year's survey, but basically, if you can get executive buy-in at all, and especially executive buy-in beyond the IT organization. So if you get your finance folks on board, your business leaders, business line leaders on board, you have a really big impact. If you're able to get the model, mature the model up to the solutions layer, beyond just towers and research towers and pools, cost pools, that really has a big impact as well. So if we're able to kind of get to that value, to even touch that value conversation beyond just kind of allocating our costs, that makes a really big impact. If you're able to master basic use cases like doing showback or even basic cost transparency, even short of total cost of ownership is a big part of that, but you don't even have to get that far. Just if you can get cost transparency, that's a really big impact for success as well. The last thing is if you could be proactive, right? If you can find any time at all to proactively deliver insights to get out of that reactive churn of having to do whatever the report is for the next quarterly business review or monthly budget review or whatever you're doing, whatever is outside of the normal just reporting that you have to do. If you can get beyond that and be proactive, especially to your leaders and business line leaders, that makes a really big difference for indicating success and maturity with TBM. But you can read a lot more about this here. So I wanted to show an example of stuff that we can do with this survey and why it's so impactful. Because this is a really nice roadmap for, like, if you can check these 4 boxes, you're probably going to be really successful. If you can check some of them, you're going to be a little successful. If you can't check any of them, it may be a harder slog for you. Maybe you need to stick with basics, or maybe you're earlier in your journey there. We also were able to outline kind of what is actually maturity look like, and what is the things that people say they're really good at, what are things that they say that like are hard but we don't care about, what are things that we say that are really important but we're not really good at. And I wanted to highlight this here the one dot in this orange box. I think everyone will their eyes will bug out of their head, is that everyone agrees that the TBM's ability to drive business change and improvement is important. But everyone thinks that they kind of struggle with it, that it's really hard to do. So if you look here, this is how important it is at the bottom and how well you are at it on the y-axis here. That's interesting because we're able to do all of these basic tasks really well, but we really struggle with getting it to drive business change. So that points to us as a gap of like, okay, how can we provide resources as the TBM Council to help our users and help our practitioners get to that business change piece of things? So that actually helped drive a lot of what we did research-wise and a lot of what we've done, what we plan to do this year. And that's one reason why this research is really important, because we use it to help guide what our agenda is going to be. What you tell us is what we're going to use for our agenda in the coming year, for the most part. Now, again, yet another insight we've got from last year is that a lot of times we get stop short of our business decision makers, right? Is that if you're kind of stuck in these cost pools and resource towers, you're not really getting outside of your basic allocations. You're not really having a value conversation as much. Solutions and consumers is where you start having those value conversations, where you start talking about, okay, yeah, cool, our IT budget was X dollars. What did we get for that money that we spent? And getting into that conversations where we see people have a lot of really good impact. So it's certainly something we wanted to use that to inform what we're going to look at this year. So I wanted to share with you all here, our State of TBM survey 2026 is live right now. And I wanted to share with you all, these are some of the hypotheses that we are trying to test on, ideally you, if you take the survey, please take the survey. I will happily come and beg you if you want me to, but I'm asking nicely right now. These are the questions that we really wanted to sit down and get some answers to. I should also specify that we have partnered with ISG as a really good research partner with this. They've helped us craft some of this stuff, some of these hypotheses, and they're also helping us with the implementation and analysis of the survey. They're wonderful. We really appreciate their contributions here. And one thing I really wanted to highlight here is one of our hypotheses is, does TBM provide a foundation for AI value realization? And I know that's a bunch of, I always think that these things end up looking like a bunch of corporate gobbledygook. But what I will tell you is we want to be able to say, yeah, we know everyone's got to use AI. We know that's a thing. We know that that's what half of your meetings are talking about, and everyone's trying to figure out how to use agents to do XYZ tasks, what works, what doesn't. We want to use this survey to try to get beyond that, to say, okay, are you able to understand the value that the AI tools you're using are actually providing? Not only that, but are you able to understand the pathway that you're on to realizing the value of AI? And we hope that that will allow our practitioners and our organizations that are using TBM to have a much more mature and level-headed conversation about what we're doing with AI. We're not just, where we're kind of transitioning in the space away from where we see a lot of our partners and organizations transitioning away from, okay, we spent all this money on AI, we've adopted all these tools. Okay, now what? A lot of folks are entering that phase of now what, and we think that using the TBM framework and the taxonomy and the model that we have that you can use here will allow you to just have a much more rational conversation about what do we actually invest in, what do we cut bait on, when do we plan on getting a return on this, what type of return can we get, or should we expect. We want to validate how and when TBM practices can be used for that type of thing. To get beyond just, are you using 1,000 AI tools? I know you are. We all know that you're using 1,000 AI tools. We know that half of them are bunk. We don't know whether they're being used incorrectly, or there's just going to be a bunch of waste. So how do we sift through that? Very similar to kind of when everyone wanted to lift and shift over to cloud or undergo a digital transformation. Okay, we did it. Now what? Now what do we do? We also want to talk about something a little bit more esoteric, which is how do we create value-centric organizational cultures? Not only are we talking about how our organization thinks about value, but just how ingrained is that concept of value across the organization. We've got a couple really interesting questions about that. I look forward to seeing the results there. I hope you guys, and we look forward to reporting back on those too. I think it'll be cool. So these are some of our hypotheses that we've got here. I think these are going to be really interesting. Certainly want to hear more from you all, and we welcome any questions you all have about these hypotheses. Excuse me. These are the occupational hazards of having young children at home, as you always have a cough and sniffle. These are our hypotheses. And last but not least, I wanted to highlight this. We also want to talk, like, these are the things that we are doing to ensure the best reach. You're going to hear a lot from us in the next few 1 to 2 to 3 months through all of our channels. You might get a personal reach out from me or others at the council. You'll definitely get some emails asking you to please take the survey. I do want to highlight that there are additional incentives this year. We recognize that not everyone wants to attend conference. Not everyone has the budget to attend conference. Not everyone plans to go to Miami for a couple of days and attend conference. We are also adding a $100 voucher for our our select training courses at our education platform. We've launched that recently, and we are going to offer basically a discount on the courses that we own and create for certification, so that if you want to, take a tech for finance course or finance for tech course, we can get you a little voucher for a hefty chunk of change off of those courses. They're really good. I've had to take them both, or at least a couple of them so far. They're all really, really interesting and excellent. We're also going to be broadening our reach beyond just those who are using a big, fancy, expensive enterprise tool. While we certainly love those folks and care deeply about what they're doing, we also know there's a bunch of Excel warriors out there in the field. We know that there's a bunch of you just tearing it up in these spreadsheets trying to do TBM on a shoestring budget, and we want to hear more from you too. We want to hear more from those folks that are doing it more ad hoc and outside of like the enterprise level, because I think that's also a very important piece of the puzzle for us as well. I think that's everything I want to talk about here. So I know I've just talked a lot. I'm going to shut up now because I tend to talk too much. But here's our QR code for this. If you want to, you can take the survey on your phone or a tablet or a desktop if you want to. So that's my spiel here. I wanted to open it up for any questions anyone had. Is there anything anyone wants to know more about the survey, what we're hoping to get this year, or what we've gotten in years past? And I'll stop there and open it up for any questions you guys have.
Does the survey ask what specific tools? You mentioned that some folks are using Excel and some are using enterprise tools. Do we get information on what enterprise tools people are using?
That's a great question, Paul. I don't believe that's in this survey. We do have a separate survey vehicle that we do ask about that. It's called the salary survey. The results of that will be published here shortly. In that survey, we do ask specifically what tools you're using, like enterprise or non-enterprise or what kind of stack you're working with. I will double check to make sure they're not in the survey. If they are, that's great. But I do not believe that question is in this specifically. There's like 55 questions in the survey. I really wanted to make sure that we did not overly tax our we want to make sure to be judicious with your time.
Kyle, also, you have a couple questions. Someone asked, you have a hyperlink to the survey so they could take it on their PC.
Yes, I will add that to this deck, and when Talia sends it out, you'll get a hyperlink to the survey.
In addition, does the survey get into questions around TBM connected standards and the intersection/overlaps of TBM and FinOps practices?
Yes, there are a decent amount of questions about connected standards and specifically the intersection of TBM and FinOps. I think that's always a question we want to make sure. We've asked it a couple years in a row. That's the thing we just want to track longitudinally to see how folks are using those two frameworks interchangeably or in connection, whether you're doing separate offices, whether you're doing one unified office, or whether you're doing one or the other.
Also,
Hope that answered that question. If it doesn't, come off mute and yell at me.
Chat.
Anything else? We got anything else in the chat? I'm trying to see if I can pull that up real quick. There we go. Thank you, Andres. I'll go ahead. I'll make sure the QR code is updated when we send it out. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for letting me know that. That is a really good question. Good point from Greg about Forrester Wave. That's going to become that is coming out tomorrow. Good. We always try to look at all those leading research firms to see what they're putting out as well. They tend to take a more broad brush view. We're really trying to be dialed into what our community is doing and how TBM is operating in that space or those spaces. I would also highlight, like, if you're seeing this, shoot this out to your colleagues as well. One thing we really want to make sure to have that we sometimes struggle with is getting a bunch of different industry breakouts. So if we only get 2 responses from, let's say, banking and finance, then we can't really send something out with an industry breakout with just those 2. We always get more than that from banking and finance. But if you're in your regional, the more responses we get, the more we can do personalized and individual breakouts for regional and industry level cohorts. The more responses we get, the more cohorts we can do, the more variated that analysis can be and specific to you. I would love to be in a world where to all the communities that we have, we can send out a personalized version of this study that says, hey, here's the results for your specific cohort so that you can look at it individually. Then the more results we get for that, if you want that for your region, industry, cohort, whatever, send it out to your colleagues and we can get more responses that way. But I'll take one more call for any questions or discussion anyone has here. I'm happy to, if anyone wants to see any of the other slides I put up here today. Thank you, Talia. Yeah.
No problem. I just put in the chat if anyone is not a member of the TBM Council, you can click on that link and become a member of the TBM Council there. It's completely free. Okay. Well, if there aren't any additional questions, Pal, we want to thank you so much for always gracing us with your presence. Is always appreciated. And thank you guys for joining TBM Tuesday, and we will see you on the next Tuesday.
Appreciate y'all. We'll talk to we'll be emailing you soon.
Yeah.